In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to set up a Bitcoin solo mining pool on MiningCore. In previous videos in this lesson series, we've set up MiningCore and we've added Digibyte. And today I'm going to show you how to do Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin's very similar to Digibyte. And so a lot of these steps may look very similar, and you're going to notice that is your pattern as you're setting up pools. There's really just a couple core different types of node software that are sitting out there. Everything's pretty much a fork of Bitcoin for the most part. And so and Digibyte's one of those. So you're going to notice a lot of similarities here. And as you set up more of these, you're going to realize how simple it is to add new coins. So right off the bat, we're over on our system that we already have MiningCore running on. So if we do a sudo docker ps-a, we can see we've got MiningCore running, and we have our Digibyte node on here running. So this was the pool that we set up in the previous video. So we're going to go ahead and work on getting Bitcoin added. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do a sudo mkdir/data/.btc. This is going to be the folder where all of our files are stored, our blockchain data. Then we need to create the Bitcoin conf file. So we're going to do /data/btc/bitcoin.conf. Hit enter. And we need to add a few lines in here. We need to add server equals 1. Now for Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV and a couple of the various Bitcoin forks, they run kind of the same node software. They're really pure forks of Bitcoin with no changes. And some of them actually use the same port as Bitcoin, which can cause conflicts. So what I like to do when I'm running Bitcoin Cash, I like to explicitly specify the port that I'm going to run as kind of the peer-to-peer port that other nodes will connect to. So for me, for Bitcoin, I do 7335. And then we need to do our RPC port. And that can just be 9002. Remember, we did 9001 on Digibyte. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to do RPC user. We're going to name this a user. Now remember when we did Digibyte, we had to do RPC auth. You don't have to do that here. So you can just do RPC user, RPC password equals, and we're just going to call this pool password. Again, I recommend doing a more strict and a stronger password. However, that's what we're going to use for the purposes of this video. Then we want to turn pruning on. This is super important with Bitcoin. If you don't want to run a full node and you're just looking at mining, definitely turn on pruning, because it's going to take it from being over a terabyte in blockchain space down to about 40 gigabytes or so. So definitely make sure you do that, especially if you're trying to run this on a lower storage system. Then we need to do wallet equals default. And we can do a control X, Y, enter to save. And now we need to run the Bitcoin node software. So we've got a Docker image for that. So we're going to do sudo docker run -d -network host -restart always -log -opt space max -size equals 10m space --name. We're going to call this BTC -v. We need to do a volume mapping to the folder that we had just created. So /data/.btc. And we're going to do a colon, and we're going to map that to /root/.bitcoin. And then we're going to do space, and we're going to do the image name. So it's going to be the retro mic /nodes::bitcoin. Go ahead and hit enter here. This is going to download the image and start running it. And you can see that first layer actually already existed. And that's because a lot of my Docker images kind of build on top of each other. They use a lot of the same baseline structure, so you won't end up with a lot of duplicate layers in your system. Now, if we do a sudo docker logs btc, we can see it is starting up. Let's go ahead and give that a follow. And we can see it's synchronizing all of the block headers now. So now at this point, the blockchain is starting to sync. We can do a Control-C here. And now we can check and see if we need to create a wallet. So to do that, we're going to do sudo docker exec btc space bitcoin -cli, and we're going to do get balance. And we should get an error here telling us there's no wallet loaded. And this is, again, similar to Digibyte. You have to create the wallet. And remember, we named it default in the config file. So what we want to do is we want to do create wallet space default. That's going to go ahead and create our default wallet for us. And now we want to do the same command, but we want to do sudo docker exec btc bitcoin CLI get new address space, and then double empty quotes here. So we're going to do double quote and then another double quote space, and then in double quotes we're going to do legacy. Hit enter. This is going to give us a legacy wallet address. So you can see that this starts with a 1. We go ahead and copy this. And now we actually are just ready to set up the MiningCore config file. So to do that, I'm going to do a sudo nano data.miningcore/config.json. And if you remember, we set up the Digibyte one. So we had that Digibyte solo, and we had that Digibyte PPLNS. We're just going to go to the bottom of this. And before the ending bracket, but after that last curly brace there, we're going to put a comma. And then I'm going to paste in my pool config. Now, I will provide the template, as I always do, in the paste bin. And you can go ahead and paste that in. It really is pretty much the same as the Digibyte one, which you'll see here in a minute. So we've got BTC. We need to put in our address here that we just generated. So I did copy that. I'm going to go ahead and come over here, and I'm going to replace the X's with that. Come down to the reward recipient and replace the X's with that as well. And you can see, so our ID, this is what we're naming our pool, which is going to be BTC. And we've got the coin is Bitcoin. And scrolling down, we've got ASIC boost enabled. We've got banning enabled. Keep going down, we've got a general ASIC port and a nerd miner port. However, these need to be specific, so I'm going to do 5002 here. And I'm going to do 5102. Now we need to make sure that we're got our port on the right port, which is 9002. That's what we set up the daemon to run on. So that one is good. And then let's see, make sure everything's good. So we've got solo. We've got our pool username, our pool password, our port number, which is in localhost. We've got both ports set up here. So we've got our nerd miner port. We've got our general ASIC port. And so at this point, the Bitcoin config file should be good. So we can do a Control X, Y, enter to save. And we can go ahead and check the status of the sync. This will take a really long time. However, it'll have a lot of connections just because of how stable the Bitcoin network is. You can see it's already synced over 15,000 blocks. However, that is still way back in 2009. So now what we want to do is the same command that we ran in the Digibyte video, I'm going to run in this. And this is kind of optional. You don't necessarily have to do this. But this will download the latest image for MiningCore if there is an updated one. Stop the container that you're running and relaunch it with the updated image. You can see there were no updated images, so we're good there. But we're going to do the same thing on the Web UI. Since I did the last video, I did do a minor fix to the Web UI. So go ahead and download and launch that. Now, if we open a web browser and go to the IP address to access the Web UI, we should be able to see the Bitcoin pool. Obviously, it's still syncing. So let's go ahead and hop on over to the IP of the system. And we can see that we've got our Digibyte solo pool up there, and our Bitcoin pool now shows. Once again, similar with the last video, you won't get any stats like a network hash rate or network difficulty until this is fully synced. But once it is fully synced, those will reflect and you'll be able to start mining to it. So we can click on Bitcoin, head over to getting started, and here we can see the stratum connections that we need to connect to in order to start mining it. Now, you don't want to point your miners here yet. You want to wait for the blockchain to fully sync. Something like Bitcoin, this could take quite a while. It could take, a day or two, depending on your hardware, potentially up to a week. If you're trying to run this on low spec hardware, no SSDs, anything like that, it could certainly take a lot longer. But this is all that's needed to get a Bitcoin pool up and running. Now it's pretty much just that waiting game, waiting for the node to sync completely. You can always do a sudo docker ps-a just to confirm that it's running. The other thing that you can do that I actually didn't cover in the Digibyte video, but because we've installed Dazzle before on this, if we hop on over to the IP address and :8080, we can see the Bitcoin container. And here you can just kind of leave this up and you can see its status in real time syncing. Once it's done syncing, similar if we hop on over to Digibyte, and you'll notice that the progress is 1.00. This means 100%. So, and then you'll be able to obviously see the date time stamp of the blockchain in UTC as well. But you could just periodically come over to Dazzle, check the status. Obviously, we're in 2010 now. So I just showed you a couple minutes ago, we're in 2009. So we are making good progress. It is syncing, but you can see the progress is still very low because the Bitcoin blockchain is, even though it doesn't have a lot of blocks because of the 10-minute block time, some of the blocks are quite large. And so it will take a long time to sync those. Essentially, it'll be syncing, and then it'll be periodically purging, and then syncing more, purging. But what you'll end up with is you should end up with a block store that is less than 50 gigabytes that will continually prune itself. And you will be able to mine to it. And then once you hit a block, if you hit a block, I should say, then if we hop back on over to the pool software, it'll be the same as Digibyte. It will, once you point your miner to it, whatever mining address you're mining with, it's going to pay out to the pool wallet. And one important thing to note is there are 100 confirmations required on the Bitcoin network before coins get unlocked, newly minted coins. So if you do hit a block, you will have to wait approximately a day for those coins to unlock before they are paid out to your actual wallet that you were mining with. But in the end, you will get a payout to this pool wallet. And then after the cooldown period is done, that pool wallet will pay out to the whatever wallet you were using as your mining address.